80 minutes it took for a controversial building site to become the Theatre of Dreams. We better go back and see what all the fuss is about. A sultry night in June, Wales at their new home. Well, it's never been said before. Go on.
Welcome to the Millennium Stadium.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome home and welcome to your new stadium. I am proud to stand before you today and predict with total confidence many great days we will be able to share at the Millennium Stadium. Welcome to the new home of Welsh rugby. Thank you.
A lovely summer's day and a momentous, emotional occasion for Welsh rugby. No more doubts, no longer a dream. Today it is reality. The unveiling of what will shortly be the most impressive rugby stadium in the world. And here are the players, the fortunate few, who'll always be able to say, I was there. South Africa field one of their youngest teams ever, average age just 24. Four just gained their first caps against Italy over the past fortnight. Their fly half, Van Straten, Prop Visagie, Lock Selborne Boom and flanker Connor Krieger. Captain last week when they topped 100 points. But plenty on the skipper Teichmann up front. And behind the scrum, the tongue-twisting combination of Muller and Mulder at centre, and the back three full of exciting running talent, Montgomery, Rousseau and Ter Blanche. Ter Blanche, a record 5 tries at Durban just a week ago. And what a reception for the side who won their last 5 matches on the trot. That's some record recently for Welsh rugby. Wales have a settled side these days, just 2 changes from the second test in Argentina. Colin Jarvis is back in at number 6 for Geraint Lewis, and David Young at 3 for the unlucky Ben Evans. That's the first change in 6 games to the Welsh front 5. Behind, still no Scott Gibbs, so Taylor and Bateman remain together at centre. And yet another milestone for Neil Jenkins. Today, his 50th cap at outside half, his 67th overall. 16th game in charge for Robert Howley, and he's won 10 of 15 so far. The man in charge today is Ed Morrison of England. That's a welcome sight for South Africa, of course. He was the referee when they had their greatest triumph and lifted the World Cup at Ellis Park in Johannesburg. So a new chapter is about to open at what's been the home of rugby myths and legends for a century and more. And who more appropriate than Neil Jenkins, 50th cap at outside half today. The man who holds every record in the book for Wales, who gets it underway at the end of a millennium. There's a new start and a new home for Welsh rugby. That's Werner Swanepoel, back to Bram van Straten. Their normal halfbacks amongst some half a dozen leading players missing from the South African lineup today. Van der Westhuizen and Honeyball, both at home nursing some minor injuries. Azar, Andy Snyman, Andre Snyman the centre, and forwards such as Adrian Garvey, Mark Andrews and Bobby Skinstad. Good first line out for Wales. That was Chris Wyatt. And this is Peter Rogers, a special day for him. He made his name as a rugby player out in South Africa. Had aspirations to become a Springbok, and it's the surge of Peter Rogers, who played for the Transvaal, that's given Wales a golden opportunity in the opening minute.
Well, a great line out, and what a fantastic take by Mark Taylor. Neil Jenkins was under tremendous pressure from Krieger, the wing forward, who tackled him hard. In fact, I thought tackled him late. Got that pass out to Taylor, who set it up in midfield, and now Wales have won the penalty, and this would be a welcome 3 points. As you can see, the South African hands going all over the place there, giving the penalty away, and this should be a simple 3 points for Neil Jenkins. Good start by Wales.
Gary Teichmann and his men are sick and tired of seeing this sight. Neil Jenkins lining up a kick at goal, and the inevitable result, it's straight between the posts, and Wales have taken the lead within 2 minutes of the opening of the new stadium. First chance for the Springboks, and that's Quinnell Otto. Swanepoel. Now then, the offence and the chance for South Africa.
Yeah, Scott Quinnell was over the top then, and I think his brother Craig came over the top. Hands in the ruck as well. And Ed Morris has been very strict early on in this game.
And the result is exactly the same. Straight pitch. So Van Straten brings South Africa level, 8 minutes played, and it's 3 points apiece. Just his second cap the outside half, he scored 10 points, 5 conversions in that remarkable victory by 101 points to 0 at Durban a week ago against the unfortunate Italians. Howarth with Quinnell lurking with him. He's a great counter-attacker, Shane Howarth. South Africa went over the top. The crowd saw it first, then Ed Morrison. And this could be within range again for Neil Jenkins.
You see Kempson, the big prop, comes straight over the top there on that tackle on Shane Howarth. He's so good at the counter-attack, he likes to bring the ball back up. Scott Quinnell was back to help him out, but Kempson gave the obvious penalty away, and the crowd let the referee know that, didn't they?
Second chance for Jenkins. Much more difficult, this. Oh, but he struck it well. That looks promising. Straight and true. It's a wonderful kick by Jenkins, and Wales regain their lead. It's 6-3 to the Red Shirts. Well, the early scrums are very untidy, and Colin Jarvis was penalised then, I think. And fuss flare-up. Scott Quinnell is appealing to the far touchline where Joël Doumet of France is carrying the flag. David McHugh of Ireland is near side, and perhaps he's seen what happened, what ignited that flare-up.
Well, we saw them in Argentina. These Welsh boys aren't afraid to mix it.
Well, the lecture from Ed Morrison. He's told both captains to spend 10 seconds with their sides, cool them down. Are we having a game of celebration as it's meant to be, or a war of attrition? Gary Jenkins, who's been brilliant with his throwing and finding Chris Wyatt, and that's a magnificent leap by Wyatt, and his legs were taken underneath him. That's a dangerous ploy in a line-out that goes against it.
Well, that was quite a remarkable line-out, because Chris Wyatt, you see, that came in to that line-out so late, really, and outstanding throw by Gary Jenkins to find him. And of course, this man is so athletic. He's up in the air for ages. Look at that, he's up there waiting for that ball. That's fabulous skills, and you can see the legs are taken away from him. That is a penalty.
Jenkins has turned his back. That means the kick is there. He hardly had a look. Just made the 10 metres. Percy Montgomery for the first time, and he slipped out of Alan Bateman's tackle. Now that doesn't happen very often. Tailbone boom.
As you say, it's not often to see Alan Bateman, but just head on, really, and I think the angles are wrong for him. Just hit him with his shoulder and just bounced off. This is a big blow with Craig Quinnell going off.
Brings Mike Boyle on for Wales. That's the end of Craig Quinnell. That's a good scrum for Wales and enables Scott Quinnell to pick up and burst forward from the base. Howley, well, he wanted it quickly and Ed Morrison wouldn't agree. And that's because David McHugh wants to come in and have a word.
Well, that's a pity that Robert couldn't get away with that, because he wanted the extra 10 metres, which would have put it in distance for Neil Jenkins. Another pot at goal. Oh, what a fantastic drive by Scott Quinnell, taking 3 men out there.
And he wants a word with Robbie Kempson. That's a loose pass. Can Wales profit? Frustration by Wales because it was just about coming back as Ed Morrison blew his whistle. Gareth Thomas in midfield. Sinkinson driving. Howley eager. Drop goal is the attempt from Jenkins. Can it creep over? Just past the post.
Good decision making by Neil Jenkins. The Springboks are spread out across the field. 3 points there would have been really welcome. Good decision making. Didn't quite get the direction he wanted.
Mike Boyle's ball uncontested. Chavez hit back. Rogers again. He normally makes some ground, Peter Rogers, with the ball in hand. Not that time. And it's sprung out to Nakadrotsky. Yapi Bulda changing the direction of the attack. And now it's Razi Erasmus, head down, driving forward. Good body angle. And it's a penalty to South Africa. Get out of the way quicker. That's the message.
Well, I can only think it's Voyle holding on to the man there, just diving on. Even though he didn't play the ball, but he was holding on to the tackler.
Both goal kickers are spot on so far. 2 for Van Straten, 3 for Neil Jenkins. So Wales still lead, 9 points to 6. Well played, Wales. Well, that's unfortunate. The original work was done well by Chris Wyatt. He tapped the ball back on the Welsh side, but it went to no one. Quickly taken line out. Peter Rousseau spins it out in midfield. Erasmus lost it. This is Chavez. Here's a chance. Bateman couldn't get it to David James. And that's the most clear-cut opportunity so far of the opening 34 minutes.
But that was great defending by Rousseau. You could see there was an overlap there. Watch Bateman tries to get this ball out here, but the tackle coming in, knocks it out of his hands. He goes, let's see, he was coming in, shoulder charge. He couldn't quite have the time and the space to get that ball to David James.
That's Quinnell senior, Scott. Jenkins with dancing shoes on. Rogers slipped away from Erasmus. Now then, Howarth is up. Gareth Thomas is there. Held by Swanepoel, but only just. Well-timed run by Alan Bateman. And Wales are swarming towards this loose ball, and they'll get their penalty. And South Africa have been on the rack for long periods in this opening half.
Bateman, beautifully timed run from a deep position. He sets the ball back, but the Springboks are playing the ball on the ground. You can see the hands in there, and Ed Morris is quite right to once again award the penalty to Wales.
Now then, Neil Jenkins. Yes, he's back on song. Just the one blemish. And Wales deservedly lead by 12 points to 6.
Well, they certainly do. They played some remarkable rugby. She's happy, isn't she?
The crowd are calling for the big heave from Wales. It's coming on, and look at David Young. Just disrupting his man. And Wales have gained possession. Jenkins, Taylor, Oh, but first time tackling by South Africa. Up comes outside half Van Straten. The little kick through, and Wales will have to be wary here. Terblanche can't keep it alive.
But Muller and Mulder up so quick. And they're really who are saving their team at the moment, because the Springbok pack are being destroyed by Wales in the tight phases.
Scott Quinnell, Colin Jarvis behind. That's another missed, but it's come back to Wales, and Jarvis might profit. Gary Jenkins held his head in disgust as they lost the ball, but now here's a chance for Wales. Mark Taylor! Taylor will score! A brilliant end to an opening half that's gone Wales's way. And just at the precise moment, it's Mark Taylor. It's only a second for Wales. How important will that be?
Just what the doctor ordered if you're a Welsh fan. Fantastic rugby. Jarvis first of all driving, and then the ball whipped out, and then Taylor showing his pace, running outside his opposition, score a fantastic try for Wales. It had been set up by Colin Jarvis, but look how often you see an outside centre drift outside another international centre. This man has been the top centre in Britain all season. Remarkable season for him, remarkable pace, big handoff, and what a fantastic try at the right time.
Neil Jenkins has added the extra two. The whistle blows for half-time, and who would have believed it? It was a historical occasion anyway, as we opened the new Millennium Stadium, and Wales go to the dressing room with a roar of the crowd ringing in their ears, applauding their opening 40 minutes. The remarkable scoreline at the interval: Wales wield the world champion South Africa by 19 points to 6. Ed Morrison blows the whistle. The second half gets underway. Gary Jenkins, of all people, claims that first kick straight to ground. It will allow Robert Howley to feed Neil Jenkins, and that's the first kick downfield, and it's a beauty. Drotsky, that's Selborne boom, but it goes to Otto in the midline again. Wales hold the initial surge, but here comes South Africa again. And driving through is Teichmann. Teichmann leading from the front. It's out to Drotsky, held by Sinkinson. That's the Welsh 22. It's a positive start to the second half. And through the gap goes Muller. Hauled down from behind. But this is the closest South Africa have been. It came back to Robbie Kempson. Kempson within inches. Swanepoel's behind. Wales have reformed. They've held up the scrum half. It's a penalty against Wales for offside. They want to take it quickly, but they have to be 5 metres back from the try line to take a quick penalty.
Oh, what a tackle by Dai Young. He came in and knocked the Springboks back. That was an amazing tackle.
They take it quickly. Visachi, the prop, held by Colin Jarvis. Again they're within inches, and the alarm bells are ringing for Wales. Ringing loudly as Swanepoel turns it back. Sinkinson holds Drotsky, and it's Welsh ball. Welsh arms are raised in triumph. There's a roar as if they'd won the game.
Yeah, Brett Sinkinson, what a tackle. And that's what international rugby's all about, is putting your tackles in.
And look at that set scrummage from Wales. It's bounced clear. But now comes Howley, the big kick and the chase. It's Howley against Montgomery. Howley waits for his man to get back on the feet. And that's the strength of Percy Montgomery. Slippery turf after the little shower of rain. And the penalty. But they've come out in much more determined mood for the second half, South Africa. And that's the sign of true world champions. Peter Rousseau, it's out to Drotsky. Swanepoel sniping, and it's out to Rousseau. The support is in. Teichmann David James gets in the way, and he holds them at bay, but only just.
Desperate defending by Wales. Outstanding defending.
Jenkins out into midfield. And that's the man who's feeling better than anyone on the field. That's Mark Taylor out, Peter Rogers, Shane Howarth. He tried to get David James to come inside. Realised that there was limited space on that left-hand touchline.
I like the way Peter Rogers handed that ball on then. He thought he might have charged, but there was an overlap there.
Narka-Drotsky. In it comes, claimed by Otto, under pressure from Wyatt. Good to see Wales contesting that line out. New Zealand did that against France earlier to great effect. That's Robbie Kempson. 17 stone plus of prop forward, charging up, and that's Rassie Erasmus again. Van Straten. Erasmus claims Howard's kick. Teichmann looked to touch forward that pass, but play goes on. Swanepoel. Standing out is Yappy Mulder. Mulder through the gap. And now this is Teblanche. Teblanche knocks it forward in the tackle, surely. Play goes on. Try is awarded.
Well, this is where the damage was done. It's right down the middle by the big centre. And there's desperate defending by Wills then. Initially they stop it. Great tackle by Neil Jenkins. But how does this ball come back? Howley wanted to pop that ball up, but I think it was, well, it was a Swanepoel who was given to him in the end. A mistake by Wills. The Springboks have put tremendous pressure on Wales the second half.
Narka-Drotsky finds Gary Teichmann. Swanepoel. Erasmus. Oh, and that's Van Straten. This is good play. Otto to Fenter again. A hint of a forward pass inside. Teichmann is broken away. The pass is in. Right on the line, but they can't get it down for their second try. It's a scrum 5, and Wales breathe again.
The man who's doing the damage is Van Straten, who's been punched through the middle. But this time it is Teichmann. If he could have got that ball out quicker, there was a certain try on. Bateman comes in and makes this tackle.
This time it's Wales go down. And there's a big turnaround in this game. Desperate defence by Wales. And as you said, the Springboks are rampant. Great double tackle. They held the man in the right off the ground. And Wales get the ball and clear. Absolutely magnificent defence by the red shirts.
Mike Voyle, was it under there? Yes, it was Mike Voyle. Tremendous tackle. Not only that, they ripped the ball out of Erasmus's hands.
The man from the Northern Bulls. Fenter is an accomplished line-out man as well, and it goes to him. Teichmann standing off. More and more into the picture in the second half, the skipper Gary Teichmann. Fenter in right behind him. That's to Toy. Van Hooslen searching, the kick throws, intercepted, Wales are offside. It all counts for nothing. Wales are offside, right in front of the posts.
Well, there was pulling back, there's hands on the ground, all sorts of things there. I thought the stamping there by the Springboks is unnecessary, which have been penalised earlier in the game, but this time, see Otto, number 5, has been ignored by the touch judges.
Chafi du Toit, 57 points in 3 internationals before today. Here he comes, he can't miss from there, and he doesn't. Wales 19, South Africa 14. And there is a big feeling now, the Springboks are sensing that they can come back once again and pinch a victory from Wales. Forward pass, and Peter Rousseau is denied. He can't believe it. Percy Montgomery can't believe it. That's one of the few decisions to go Wales's way in the second half.
Well, it was marginal, I must say, that. Well, that second pass that go forward from Montgomery. But to be fair to the referee, Ed Morrison, who's right on the spot there.
Quinnell is through the first tackle, still going. Tremendous surge by the Welsh number 8. Up they come outside. Jenkins, Gareth Thomas, he's in the corner. Oh, the smile of delight. We saw it at Wembley when he scored the early Welsh try. He's put Wales 24-14 ahead, and that's his 19th international try.
By Scott Quinnell again, fantastic driving from the base of the scrum, sets it back. Now watch his pass by Neil Jenkins. The forwards do well let that go. Chris Wyatt as well to leave that go. Jenkins takes the ball, flips the ball out to Gareth Thomas, and he has the speed and the strength to go over for a very, very important try.
That could be one of the most important tries that Wales have scored in a century of international rugby. Jenkins. Oh, that's wonderful. They sense that Wales are on the verge of something great. Something that they've never ever achieved before. Out into midfield, Shane Howard is up, Gareth Thomas is over. Oh, what a tackle from Steffan Terblanche. Cut down David James in his tracks, but Wales have the penalty.
This was amazing defending.
It was Montgomery in fact, and not Terblanche.
Yeah, but look at Montgomery, plays the ball on the ground and gives the penalty away.
Neil Jenkins lines it up. He's looking, he's turned his back, the kick is there. Wales 29, South Africa 14. Magnificent take by Chris Wyatt, and Wales seem to have weathered the storm, the considerable storm of the third quarter when South Africa were rampant. They conceded a soft try. That's Shane Howarth. This is Terblanche. Welsh ball. And the crowd and the Welsh players have seen an offence. I wonder, has Joel Dume seen it as well? In comes Joel Dume, the Frenchman. Oh, look at that. That is terrible. That really is terrible. No wonder the Welsh side were incensed. It's the official warning for Conor Krieger. The world champions trailing by 15 points. Wales on the verge of a momentous victory and of restoring Northern Hemisphere pride on a day when England and France have been beaten by Australia and New Zealand respectively. But let's not count the chickens. That's Peter Rousseau. Wales have stolen it. It's a Welsh scrum. Rousseau, who scored 3 tries at Loftus, but this is a year ahead, and this is a different occasion.
Well, there was an overlap there. Montgomery got lost, really. Rousseau should have just looked for him outside. A chance gone missing, must be said, by the Springboks.
But time is drifting away from Gary Teichmann's team. That's a penalty to South Africa, surely. Is Ed Morrison playing advantage? Van Hooslen to Du Toit. That's Peter Muller. Again, Van Hooslen but he can't find his way through. Darting and ducking little run, but the Welsh defence stood firm. But here's a major test. Montgomery's through, and that's a second Springbok try. Shane Howarth sat with a look of anguish on his face as Montgomery went outside him. And there's still hope late on for the world champions. Wales and their supporters have waited a long time for this to happen. For the stadium to open and for the red shirts to triumph over the Springboks. Here goes Mark Taylor. Lovely slip pass to David James. 40 minutes are up. And Wales are getting ever closer to one of the great triumphs in their long and proud history.
Oh, Wales has got some good tries this afternoon, but it's been the tackling has been the hallmark. The scrimmage in the line has been superb, but the tackling has been immense, and that is the difference now. That is why we team.
Andrew Lewis has come on for Peter Rogers. John Humphreys takes over from Garin Jenkins. Great rivals, great friends. Scott Quinnell is leading the massed voices. He's calling for support to ring around the Millennium Stadium. That is Cardiff Arms Park. Up comes Montgomery. Superb tackle by Mark Taylor. Happy Dutoy has lost the ball. Ed Morrison blows the final whistle. And that is one of the most remarkable results in the long history of Welsh rugby. What a turnaround from the humiliation of Loftus Versfeld 12 months exactly ago. It's a historic result on a historic occasion. Wales have christened the new Millennium Stadium in the best possible way. Their first ever victory over South Africa.
Great scenes on the Arms Park, Jonathan. 13 attempts, 1 victory at last.
Yeah, it was a fantastic performance. I thought the back row played superbly, and the 2 changes from the Argentinian tests, Chaves and Dayang, were the right ones to do.
A couple of grumbles, nothing too major. Grumbles from the South African camp about the ref, Ed Morrison.
I think Ed Morrison, I'm glad he let the line-out ploys go. The running in and the quick line-out. But yeah, he didn't leave a lot. Once they hit the floor, he didn't allow the ruck-in game to develop, and maybe that would have made it a far more open game.
And a lot was said beforehand about swapping.
Yeah, I think this was one of the better line-outs, but what I enjoyed was the off-the-ball running. If you watch, they lose the line-out, Sinkerson gets a hand in again, Chaves runs straight at the inside backs, and that creates problems because they all wedge in now. It's a quick release, and watch the dummy runners. There's Quinnell there, he holds 4 defenders up, and then there's Wyatt holds 12, and 13 is just ball watching, which allows Taylor to get on his outside shoulder. Only half a yard he wanted because of the ball watching. They'd all encroached into the ruck, and he had just a great handoff and scores near the posts.
One-on-one defence, more or less straight from set piece, though. Would you say South Africa?
Well, like I said, they were all drawn in, and they were caught because he's been drawn in because the outside half has been called in to make a tackle. The 4 defenders have been held up, so he's ball watching, and the pass off Jinx hits his outside shoulder.
Just before we go, oh no, here it is, the second try, and strange parallels here, aren't there?
Yeah, again, first phase. Again, Scott Quinnell had an immense game of getting over the advantage line. He holds, and just goes on the outside. Krieger misses him again. Teichmann goes in. He's even got Percy Montgomery in there. So there's 3 out of the game straight away. There's 4. Watch the back row. They work in harmony. Sinkerson goes in first, then Chaves. It's a quick release. And again, it's the late run. You just see Wyatt's legs there. Jinx has gone a little bit earlier. There must have been a call. He leaves it go. Rousseau, number 11, has come in there. It's an easy give and take. It's a simple try, you know, well worked, and it's all from dummy running, you know. And people say, you know, you're not in the game if you haven't got the ball, which is rubbish because dummy runners create space for the ball carriers. Again, there must have been a call. Watch Rousseau come in here. There he goes. He's out of the game, left his marker, jinxed with a late run. It's an easy give and take, you know, it's a simple try for Garrett to score. And
isn't it strange we talk about what second rows must do now? They must run around and they must make their tackles, but also what they mustn't do, and they mustn't get in the way of cut-out passes.
Well, the dummy runners, Scott Quinnell and then Wyatt on both occasions, which allows then Jinx to, you know,
but
to distribute.
It's a good footballing instinct, isn't it? Just, you know, something tells you, I'll let this go. And I just think that's a Welsh characteristic that not a lot of other footballing nations have.
We've always had the football ability, you know, throughout the bad years we've had, but now we've got parity up front, which is vitally important.
You know, you take another example, that you take Craig Quinnell off, and your hearts lose shape. Mike Voyle comes on. He had a fantastic game.
He had a great game, you know, defensively and about the park, and his best game for Wales by a long.
And they had the confidence to use him at the line out, and the number of tackles he made. He wasn't involved in this one to start off with. This was all to do with Brett Sinkinson, who had yet another outstanding game. Brett Sinkinson hits Nakadrotsky with the first hit, but then Mike Voyle, just behind Otto Crano there, Crano-Otto, he comes in. It's a double hit. Wales defending their line as if their lives depended on it. It is just a new dimension to the game.
What he did there as well was wedge him on top of the ruck, so he didn't have the ball off the floor.
Mike Voyle involved again. This time, Razzie Erasmus has a go. Colin Jarvis, Mike Voyle, they turn him so well. It's a very technically adept tackle there. It's not just a big hit, it's very clever technique as well. Alan Bateman made one on the line. David Young made a try-saving tackler on the line. And even more important here, Wales come away with the ball. Out it pops to Robert Howley. Wales can clear their lines. And if you can't get them by fair means, Colin Jarvis makes one tackle, and oops, out comes the scything leg to bring him down. Well done, Colin. If you get away with it, keep on doing it. Defend that line. Here's an interesting thing. Scrum on the Welsh line. What happens there for that ball to squirt out? It sort of echoes of Matt Dawson in the England game. And Robert Howley does well here. But if you look, the leg going up now belongs to Robbie Kempson, the South African Springbok. And he's dug into the Welsh side of the scrum to get that ball out. But even so, Wales thinking on their feet well, and they get out well. Great stuff.
I think it's all about team spirit. You know, we were out in Argentina, and the team spirit is fantastic, and they're all playing for each other and scrambling for each other.
Just a few, you know, rumbles of South Africa. They were without Van der Westhuizen, Henry Honourable, Andre Snyman. They've had a good boot now, haven't they?
And also a Skinstad. You know, they did cut us to pieces in the first 20 minutes, and you know, next time I think we won't get away as lightly because Skinstad will be there and he'll score. Hannibal will create. Jus van der Westen always scores.
If South Africa have had a bit of a booting, it's nothing compared with what the Springboks gave Mark Taylor. Here it's another double hit. Brett Sinkinson and Mark Taylor. And now what happens?
Well, he's on the wrong side, so he expects the first shoe in, but the second one onto the face is totally out of order.
Here's the boy himself.
Joel Dume seen it as well. In comes Joel Dume, the Frenchman. Oh, look at that. That is terrible. That really is terrible.
Oh, he just carried on, yeah. That's why I got a bit angry. Because for the first stamp, I thought I'm on the wrong side of the ruck and, you know, I'm going to get a shoe and whatever. But the referee had blown his whistle and then he kicked me square across the bum. And that hurt, actually. I didn't realise my shorts had ripped, but then Voyle came up to me and said, you'd better change because your ass is hanging out or whatever. And I thought, good. A bit embarrassing, but never mind.
But there we are, there's proof of the putting in the raking he took.
That'll bring the crowds in, JJ.
Look at that bottom.
I just think, you know, he also won a Welsh gold ring for scoring the first try. So it's a story of two rings, really.
He's the only man that can go on honeymoon with scratch marks on his backside.
But he's developed as a player, you know, fantastically now. And if anything, he's the first name in the centre. So
yeah, first name in the centre, and of course a whole list of names was published today.
Yeah.
Here they are, the Welsh World Cup squad. there are the people that have made it. There is one omission that springs to mind. Arwel Thomas, not there.
Yeah, well, it's going to be very difficult for Arwel to come back, I feel.
This is what the coach has to say about it all.
He doesn't run the ship as well as he should at fly half, and sometimes his defence is questionable, his positional play on defence. And Archie's a very, very capable rugby player, as everybody knows. He's highly skillful. But you can't win test matches if you're not at home on defence, and you need a fly half who can run the team. And I'm sure Arwel will play a lot of test match football. I hope he does, because he's a very, very, very good rugby player.
Quite a brutal assessment by Graham Henry, but it just shows what the situation Wales are now in, and of course the whole context of Wales and the world has changed, and this is how the coach sees it.
I don't think we can hide anymore. I think the reality is that every side we play now is going to see us as having the ability to beat them. Whereas I don't think the South Africans in their heart of hearts on Saturday thought we could. And that probably gave us a bit of an advantage. But I don't think we can hide anymore. The disguise is gone.
You ready for the World Cup?
I think we're back, and I'm looking for the World Cup. It'll be a fantastic occasion.
Well, Wales, enjoy your month off. You've more than deserved it. Have a great time. We're waiting for the World Cup. Good from us. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Even on a foul day like this, it must be 3 points. It is! Now Smith has scored a great try for South Africa in the closing seconds. What a chance for Gareth Edwards!
That's it! That surely closes the door.
Olivia goes for the try line, another try for South Africa.
Relieved South Africans everywhere at the end of the match.
Have taken the lead within 2 minutes of the opening of the new stadium. At the press. Oh, look at that. That is terrible. That'll bring the crowds in, JJ.
Look at Singer's upper body strength, taking him, driving him back. He has the speed and the strength to go over for a very, very important try.
I don't think we can hide anymore. The disguise is gone.
Remember the score. It'll be there for years to come. The first ever victory against South Africa.